I am just shiny in my hair. I was gonna fix it because I had it in a bun, but I kind of like it like this. Now let's fix it. Let's fix it. So today we're going to be doing something a little different. We're going to be doing a movie review because I had to watch this movie and I just felt like it was my duty to warn you about this movie. So we're going to do a review on the movie If. And before I do, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit that like, ring that bell so be notified every time I post a video, and check out my t-shirt store. Ah, it's cute. Okay. So why did I watch the movie If? So the other day I was off. I think it was Wednesday. This is day off. And I was like, I think on Monday I was like, hey mom, you want to watch a movie since I'll be off on Wednesday? And she was just like, yeah, I guess I want to spend time with you. And I was just like, okay, well, if you do, let's watch the movie. So Wednesday comes around. She was like, hey, let's watch the movie If. And I was just like, I don't want to watch that movie. She's like, why you don't want to watch this movie? Because it's a bad movie. Like I don't think it's going to be good. And if you have not, like, I literally was just like, no. Like, just from, based off of just a preview. And it wasn't even a full preview. It was just an ad. And I watched and press skip ad. Like, for the little part I watched before I skipped the ad, I was just like, oh no. Oh no, this movie is going to be bad. So I wanted to come on here and warn you guys. And mom's like, you want to watch the movie? And I was just like, sure, because, you know, my mom's a queen and she gets what she wants. And I can't say no to her. And if I do, I turn around and say yes because, you know, mommy issues. Yeah, we do. We have them. Yeah. Aries parents, please hug your children more. Like, please, especially if they're earth sign, give them more hugs. I know it's hard. I know it's like, ugh, but they'll appreciate it. Okay. So yeah, I watched this movie with her. So now I'm gonna tell you, because like the whole time I watched this movie, I just felt uncomfortable. I felt really uncomfortable. I was just like, it wasn't like I was pouting or anything because I knew the movie was bad, so I just accepted it. Like, nowadays in my life, I just accepted things for how it is. I don't try to change them. I don't be like optimistic about stuff that I know is going to be bad. If you say you're a duck, quack like a duck, I'm not about to expect you to be an elephant. I'm not. I'm expecting you to get into a pond and swim and eat bread. I'm not expecting you to do anything extra that you're not going to do. So that's how I viewed and went about this movie. So we start watching the movie. The movie opens up with a family. It's a mom and a dad and a little girl. And they're spending time with each other. They're making home videos. They're drawing, painting, they're doing arts and craft. They're dancing and singing Tina Turner with the record player. They went to amusement park. And there's all these clips of them hanging out together, you know, just doing family bonding. And then in the middle of all these clips, there's just one clip. It's a flash clip of the mom with one of those head wrap scarves on, like you see when people have cancer. But they never tell us that she has cancer. We see one little clip of her with this wrap on. And if you're, you know, from the hood, or you just have a grandma or older women in your life, you don't think nothing of it because it's like one of those hair wraps. It's just like, oh, okay, whatever. But the moment I saw it, I was just like, I was just like, maybe, because it's just like, it's weird how it's going about, because it's just like, I don't know who's the video viewpoint it was, because at first you thought it was a viewpoint of the mom, like she's doing all the video cameraing, but then you see her in a clip, but they never tell us she has cancer. So after this opening scene of them there and they're in this house, this whole movie is you using context clues and just figuring it out, because they're not telling you nothing, which I'm just like, is this a kids movie? Like, because there's nothing playful about this movie. This movie is very sad and depressing. Like, I'm just like, who is the audience? Like, do they not have video screenings before they put out a movie? Do they not do that anymore? Because it's like, who is this targeting audience? Because if they would have got the targeting audience of this movie, who would it be? Like, for real, would it be from, like, you know, 3-year-olds to 12-year-old? I don't know. We're gonna keep on going. So at the end of them, this montage or whatever you want to call it, of them, the family hanging out, the mom, the dad, and the little girl who looks about 6 years old, you see this clip of the little girl and the dad walking out of the house door. I think it's a house because throughout the clips when they were dancing to Tina Turner, it made it seem like that was their house. So made it seem like it was their house, the family's house. So in this clip, you see the little girl and the dad walking away, and the little girl is pulling a suitcase. And you're just like, where are they going? Is this not their house? I was just super confused. So they go, and then they roll the opening scene clips and all this stuff. And then the next clip in is this grown-ass woman walking up in the house, but we're supposed to think that she's 12 years old. But when she walked in, I was like, "Mom, she look 12 years old? Does she look 12 years old?" She doesn't look 12 years old. So she is coming in, she's they're walking into their house. Like the grandma had picked her up, and the grandma and the granddaughter are walking into the house that we have seen this whole entire clip that she had walked out of when she was 6 years old. Now she's 12. She's walking back in, and she's looking around, and I don't know who house this is because there's dust, like the grandma blowing dust off of stuff, trying to find stuff. Like, I don't know if we have anything to eat in here. It's like, whose house is this? This is not your house. This is not their house. Whose house is this? And the little girl just walking around the house like she hasn't seen it in years, and I'm assuming she hasn't seen it for years. But where has she been? The mom's not there, the dad's not there, and the grandma is just like, "Are you hungry?" And then she goes walking off and does some rant. Like it's like she's talking to the imaginary, like she has an imaginary friend already. It seems like she's talking to the imaginary friend already, or whoever she's talking to. The little girl is not listening to her. The grown woman is not listening to her at all. She's just, looking at the pictures, looking around the house like this is her first time seeing it in years, because apparently it is her first time seeing it in years. And the grandma comes back and was just like, "We have to go. We gotta go get your dad, this, and that." So they get in the car or whatever, and they get to the hospital. And I'm just like, why are we at the hospital? It's like, it's a lot of questions that don't get answered. At the hospital, she sees the dad, and he's just goofy or whatever. He's playing tricks, doing like he's just a jokester, and he's there. And the grandma's like, before they left, there was like, they got the grandma. I feel like she said this because, and granted, while I was watching this movie, I was cooking. It was an eating day, so I was going in. I was trying to eat up everything. It's my one eating day out of 2 days, so I was going in. But when I came back, I was coming in and out. The grandma said, I feel like she said, "We got to go get your dad." So when they got to the hospital, they got his, like, she saw him, that he was making jokes, and she was like, I'm not a kid anymore. But since when is 12 not a kid? Like, you're not even a teen, you're a preteen before the teen stage. Like, you are a kid still. And she's like, "You don't have to do that anymore. I'm not a kid. You don't have to be jokey, light, and all that stuff." And he's like, "Okay," because he's the cool dad. And she was just voicing her concerns or whatever, like her worries and troubles, because this is where we have to assume that her mom has died. I don't know if they really say it. We don't know that she died from cancer, but this could be because this is a kid's movie. But I feel like because it's a kid's movie, it should have been a walk-in, a stage. Like, you should have held their hands, let them know what's going on, and walk them through it emotionally. I feel like they didn't put no thought in that. I don't know whose kids they was talking to, because these kids nowadays are very smart and intelligent, so they could, but I don't know if they could pick up that unless they had somebody in their family or in their life that has gone through this. Like, someone had cancer and they've gone through it and they know the signs and know what to look for. So I feel like they should have walked us through that. Being that I was an adult watching this, it was just like, oh, okay. But I'm the type of person, like, when I watch a movie, I don't want to be trying to figure it out throughout the whole movie. Like, my mom's that person. She wants to figure out what's going to happen. She wants to know who the murderer is. She wants that 5 minutes in. So this is what I think is going to happen. And I'm not that person. I like to just watch a movie. Like, this is the only time that I can just turn off my brain and enjoy what is in front of me. And afterwards, I can be like, snap. Okay. Oh, that's what they did. Oh, that. Yeah. While I watch the movie, I don't want to think. I just want to watch. And now, low-key, want you to food feed me. Low-key. If I'm watching a kid's movie, I want you to food feed me. Tell me what's going on, or make it obvious if I'm watching a kid's movie. So she goes on letting them know, like, how she felt about that situation. Not really indirectly, you know. And he's just like, well, you don't have to worry about that. I just have a bad heart. I'm not gonna die. I'm not gonna die like your mother. And I was just like, what? Is that not insensitive? I'm not gonna die like your mother. I'm not your mother. I'm not your. I was just like, what? What? I was just, that was so insensitive. But he was just like, I just have a bad heart. I'm not gonna die. Which again, I don't know what was going on. I don't know what the bad heart condition was about. I don't know what that is. He could have had a heart attack. He could need a new heart. Like, don't know. They don't give us no context at all. So, okay, after that scene, the grandma, the daughter, and the dad come back home. And they're there. And I forgot about the part where the grandma, when the grandma and the daughter was there alone, she had a box. It was her drawing box or whatever. And she was like, well, you can have this and you can draw pictures and all that. And she was just another instance where she was like, I'm not a kid anymore, grandma. I don't do these things. So the grandma put the box in the closet in her bedroom. She was like, this is your bedroom. I left it how it is. All that stuff. So the night goes on and they're back at the house and the daughter is in her room and there's a bumping in her closet, like it was like in the ceiling bumping. And granted, this is the part where I started to get my second helping. Like, what is this? 10 minutes in the movie, and I was just like, "Ooh, let me go for seconds." So this is the part where it could have been a little messy, but this is what we're gonna say. So there's bumping. So she's trying to figure out what the bumping is, and then she sees somebody in the house. And I was just like, are we watching a scary movie? Someone's in the house, bruh. This thing is it's just like talking to itself. Like the grandma was just talking to herself. It's this thing. Now, remind you, this is a kid's movie. The characters. I don't know who. I would not watch this. I would be terrified as a kid if I seen this, watching this, because the characters. So this little kid, it looked like a little girl, but it's like big. Like when I first saw it, I was just like, what is this? This is a scary movie? And I came back and it's like a 3D animation thing. And that was another reason why I did not want to watch this movie, because I hate when they put real life with animation. I hate that. Like, what was that alligator movie, that Scenes? That was actually good. Like, that, it was bad, but it was better than this movie. Because the music was bopping. The concept, it was just like, okay. Still not a good movie, but it was way better than this movie. So I don't like when the animation and the real life come together. So this thing is running around. She's chasing. It's in her house, bro. It's in the house with her. I was like, we're watching a scary movie. In her house. So the girl is chasing this thing, and the little 3D animation girl thing runs up the stairs. And at this time, I'm coming in and backing out, and I was just like, huh. So runs up the stairs, and she follows it to this door, and was just like, hey, who's in there? I just saw a little girl. I just want to talk to her. And then this grown but man's voice is just like, no one's here. There's no little girl. And I'm just like, and this is when I realized that this ain't a house. This is an apartment, bruh. This is an apartment. This whole time they've been living in an apartment. I'm thinking it's a house. It's not a house. It's an apartment. They live downstairs. Whoever that was lives upstairs. And as she's peeping through this hole, she sees the man's eye. And I'm just like, at this time, this is up. This is enough. This is up. It's up right here. It's up from right here. It's up from here. Like, this is scary. Next part, what makes it scarier is that all of a sudden this old woman comes from the shadows down the hallway towards her. It's just like, what are you doing? And she has glowing eyes, and it's just creepy, scary. She was just like, nothing. You should go now. She's like, okay. And the little girl runs downstairs, and I'm just like, what was that? Is this a scary movie? What is this movie rated? Next day happens. Wasn't this good? It wasn't that good. This is a review, and I'm not going to watch it again. This is a review from my first time. I know people do reviews and be like, I watched a movie 6 times and took notes. No, this is all from my memory because it was that bad, and now you have to figure it out. No, this is your warning. Let you know it's not worth it. Okay, so the little girl goes to the hospital but has some flowers on her way to see her dad at the hospital. Now, this is what blows me, because after I watched the movie, I was just like, I could have sworn her grandma said, we're going to get her dad. The dad came home to the house, and now he's back at the hospital? What happened? How's he back at the hospital? What? Nothing is relayed here. Nothing is. So she goes back to the hospital to go see her dad, who's there again, I guess, or never left. No, he left. Maybe he didn't. No, I could have sworn I saw him at that apartment. Anyway, he might have not left. Shoot, I could have been. It was that bad that I was trying to make it better. I guess. So she on her way to see her dad and had some flowers, and this little boy in a hospital room was just like, "Hi." You know how little kids are. Some little kids just, just want to have friends. Just hi. Where you going with those flowers? Are they for me? And she's just like, no, they're not. They're for my dad. He was just like, oh, okay. And they had this little conversation or whatever. And it's so cute. He's so adorable. And I'm just like, okay, hold on to this. Hopefully we'll come back to this little boy. So excited. But this movie is so predictable. And also, it doesn't give you enough information. It's predictable and doesn't give enough information at the same time. It's a bad movie. We already know this. So she talks to the little boy and goes to her dad's room. And in his hospital room, it's like sheets tied together leading out the window as if he like climbed out the window or whatever. And she's just like, and she finds a note and it's just like, well, I have left. You're going to have to, raise yourself, have fun being an adult now, kiddo. Like that. I guess we have to, now that I'm thinking back, I guess it was a play off of what she said earlier the day before. I'm not a kid anymore. He's like, well, you can be an adult now, and she goes and she looks in the closet. He's just like, oh, you found me, that cute little dad stuff. And she's like, Dad, be serious and all this stuff. And then something else happens. It's such a bad movie, I don't remember. So that happens and she goes back home. It might have been some stuff in between it, but I don't really remember like that. So she goes back home and she's, still thinking about that the 3D little girl that she saw, and she hears banging again, scope out stuff. Like she goes upstairs, but she's kind of hiding to see what's going on. So the little 3D girl comes out, and then the grown man comes out, and they go walking, and she's starting to follow them, and she's just behind them looking around. And my thing is, why this little girl out by herself? Like, this is clearly the city. I want to know how she got to the hospital if the grandma's still at home. Like, how is she doing all of this by herself in the city? Why is she doing all this by herself in the city? Well, shoot, she looked grown. She looked like she about 16, 18, but it could be because of the children law. She probably is 18 years old, and that's how they can work her. But she's supposed to be 12. So think of it as a 12-year-old. She's following behind this grown butt man and this animated character. And this grown butt man comes to this apartment and starts climbing their fire escape and breaks into this house. And I'm just like, what is happening? And he gets in there and he breaks into this room, and it's this little girl's room, this little brown girl's room. Bruh. The sirens were going off. I was just like, what is going on? I was freaking out in my head, but on the outside, I was just, because it's a bad movie, you guys. And I was just appeasing my mom. I'm gonna just watch this with her. I'm not gonna do too much. So he goes in, and my mom was making comments. She was like, what is this? Everything I was thinking my mom was saying, because it was just like, what is happening? And he's sneaking around her room, because her room is like my room when I was a kid. I had toys everywhere. Big ass room with toys everywhere. Like, they would just be everywhere. Mom was like, this is your room. You can have it how you want it. So that's how my room was. It was a mess everywhere. He's sneaking, trying not to hit no toys or whatever. He hits his head or whatever. And he goes to a closet and opens up the closet. And this big old thing that's supposed to be, I think his name was Blue. My thing is, why was it McDonald's suing for this character? Because this character looks like a McDonald's character. If you know who I'm talking about, that's who he looks like. What's his name? I can't think of his name right now. But this is what he looks like. He's a big thing. He's like, what are you doing here? He was just like, well, I was here for this kid. And he was like, the grown man is just like, well, does she want you? Like, wasn't she screaming and yelling? She was terrified. And Blue was just like, well, yeah, but she just got to get used to me, this and that. And he's just like, no, you got to go. This is not your person. Like, you can't force this on this little girl. And Blue, while they're talking, Blue is just about to sneeze. And he's just like, no, don't wake nobody up, because I'm a grown ass man in this little brown girl's bedroom. What? Can we just think of... Anyway, he sneezes and he just wakes up the little girl, of course, and the grown butt man hides under the bed. This is the thing. They knew this was not right. They knew. Why would he hide under a bed if there was nothing wrong with him being in that room with this little girl? Why would he hide under the bed? Like, riddle me this. Riddle me this. So finally he gets Blue out the room, and he's climbing down the fire escape, and the little girl is seeing him with Blue, and she's like, what is going on? And she like passes out because she's in disbelief. I'm pretty sure I would pass out too, because it's just like, what is that? What are those? What are those things? You know, what is that? Climbing out the room, and I guess she was like, you know, like he just broke in and got this thing out, passes out, wakes up. She woke up there in their apartment. I'm over here. Woke up there in their apartment, and she's just terrified. And Blue's there, and she's just low-key scared, and Blue's just like so excited. Oh my god, it's like him! And she's just like, oh, I'm hating this movie as I'm doing this review. I gotta keep going. You have to get to the end. This is what I'm saying. And they talk, basically, Blue's touching the stuff. He's like, don't touch my, the grown man's like, don't touch my stuff. And Blue touches the stuff because Blue is a playful character. And he comes in there, and the 3D, you know, the girl was like, low-key looks like Betty Bop in like a mouse form. Like it was like Disney came on and was like, oh, let's take over the Betty Bop. I don't know if Betty Bop was a Disney character. But basically they was like, let's Disney-fy Betty Bop. Disney knockoff Betty Boo girl comes up in there, and they're all talking, and they letting her know that y'all were imaginary friends. We're ifs. Imaginary friends. IF. This is what Blue relates to us. This is kudos to them, because they finally told us some information that makes sense. I feel like maybe we could figure that out, but they told us. Thankfully. Thanks to them. Good job, Blue. Told us what IF stands for. Imaginary friends. He lets her know the 411. She's like, dear imaginary friends, was that your kid? And he's still like, yeah, that's my kid. It's just like, the man is just like, no, that wasn't his kid. We're doing assignments for them, because if we do not reassign them, they will disappear, basically. They'll just go away. And he doesn't have his kid anymore. His kid has forgot about him, and they left forgotten for too long. They'll disappear. And it was just like, okay, cool. And apparently it's a whole agency. That's what they do. They try to find kids for the imaginary friends. They low-key let it slip that it's more of them. And she's just like, oh my gosh, there's more of them. Like, I want to know. I want to see this and that. And they're just like, no, this, that, whatever, what happened. So he's freaking out. And it, like, before the freak out, they let it slip that the grown man and Blue have seen her before. Blue is just like, oh, you're back. And she doesn't register, like it doesn't register her, but makes it seem, the movie basically hints that she's been there before. They know her, basically. So if he's having a panic attack about, you know, his kid Jeremy not knowing him anymore, and he could disappear. So at this time, the grown man is just like, okay, that's enough. You didn't leave. Betty Bop's like, your eyes about to melt. This is too much. The grown man was just like, this is too much for the kid. And again, she says, I'm not a kid. And he was just like, well, that's that. And she says goodnight. She goes, but then she wakes up. She wakes up in her bed. And this is when the pancake thing happened. Her grandma made her pancakes for breakfast, burnt them. She's just like, I'm not really hungry. She goes to the hospital, this time with some flowers, and she walks past the little boy's room, but he's not in there. So she walks in there and puts one of the flowers in a cup of water and just walks back out. And I guess goes to see her dad. Walks up to the reception lady and was just like, hey, do you have snacks here? And she was just like, yeah, we have a vending machine. I thought the nurse was going to be like, yeah, she was like, what you want, huh? I thought she was going to get her something for free. Like, oh, we got something here for the kids, parents, the kids of the parents of the people that are in here. We have a little drawer for you guys with the snacks or whatever. If she would have said pizza, what would have happened? Like, she would have been like, oh, I want something from the cafeteria or something. Like, I guess she would have been like, oh, just go to the cafeteria and speak your own. Like, she made it seem like she could get that for her. She just told her, pointed her to the vending machine. It's like, oh yeah, you want snacks? You want junk food? Let me point you to the vending machine. So she's on her way to the vending machine, and then guess who shows up? Blue. Blue has followed her to the hospital, and now she's playing hide and go seek with Blue because Blue don't want to make it obvious that he's following her and he's there. So she's trying to find him. She finds him in some clothes, a clothes basket, takes the clothes basket, and is just like, what are you doing here? This is that. He's like, I was following you, silly. Like, of course, of course. She was just like, you can't be here. I can't be seen talking to you because people would think I'm crazy. As she's saying this, as she got him out and everything, she's like, people gonna think I'm crazy. And as soon as she was like, people gonna think I'm crazy, the little boy in the room was like, who are you talking to? Like, oh, ironic. Oh, look at them. Look at them trying to do some things. So they go to the next scene where she is bringing him back to the apartment and was just banging on the door like, I got your thing here. And she was like, well, what are you? And he was just like, I don't know what I am. We know who you are. McDonald's knockoff. That's who you are. We know. What is his name? Gremlin? Gremler? Gremla? Something with a G, I feel like. We know who you are. So she goes in there. And again, just talking about the ifs, the imaginary friends, and Disney's Betty Bop was just like, there's an organization. And the girl's like, well, I want to help. I want to help you get kids together and finding, imaginary friends. Basically, she goes in there and was just like, this is a curse. I don't want this to happen. And then basically she got convinced into wanting this to happen. He's like, the grown man's like, well, if you're sure it's not going to be what you want it to be, like it's going to change your life. And she's just like, try me, basically. And she sees this photo album, I guess, of retirement home for the imaginary friends, basically. And she's like, take me there. I want to meet them because it's a lot of y'all. I want to meet them. So this grown butt man takes this 12-year-old girl. Apparently she's a little girl. Takes this 12-year-old girl, gets on a train, and they ride to a abandoned amusement park, or amusement park that's not open yet. And the gates are locked. And she's like, how are we gonna get in? And he's like, well, I know how. And he walks. And they walk, I guess, in an alley or what. Like, the thing is, he's a grown butt man with this little girl. I felt uncomfortable this whole movie because I'm just like, you don't even know him. Is this what we're showing kids, that this is okay? You can go with a grown butt man that you do not know. You can go with this person places. Get on a train. Go to an abandoned amusement park. Are you not seeing what I'm seeing right here? But they're just like, no, this is okay. Do not let your kids see this. This is why I'm warning you. Anyway, get on the train, go to an abandoned amusement park, and somehow get into, I can't remember how they got into the amusement park. So basically they get to a merry-go-round, and he's just like, oh, I gotta show you the head person in charge. You got to meet him. If you want to do this, you have to meet him. He'll teach you everything I know, whatever. So they go to this merry-go-round and press this secret buttons, and it opens up and it goes downstairs into the retirement home. He's like, keep up. Don't let them know that you're here. They'll get too excited to see you as a kid. They'll be too excited. So she's going, they're walking down the hallways, and she's poking into people's rooms and seeing all sees this cat, seeing all these creatures, these characters that would scare me as a kid. If I see it, it would scare me as a kid. But it's not supposed to scare these kids, because these kids nowadays are built different. So, but it was scary. Anyway, we're just going with it. She's going and meeting all these people and seeing this retirement home, what you would think of a retirement home, what you would think, not an imaginary retirement home. And then she makes it that point, like, oh, okay, wasn't, okay, we're just walking. And then this incognito character just is all over him, and he trips over an imaginary friend. An invisible imaginary friend. He trips over. It was just like Kevin or whatever his name was. I can't think of his name right now. Anyway, they make it to a art class, and it's one of those wooden torsos, those wooden people. And he's just like, where is so and so? He's like, I don't know. He could be at the swimming hole. Go to a swimming hole. It's more Disney Betty Bop characters, which I thought was interesting, because I was just like, why is there multiple imaginary friends just like this? Like, she had twins. Why is there twins of her? Like, she has lookalikes. What kid made multiples of this one imaginary friend? It didn't make sense. If every kid makes an imaginary friend, every kid is unique, so every imaginary friend should be unique. There should be no copies. But here we are, and he keeps on going and makes it to the head honcho in charge. Head honcho in charge is a bear, little teddy bear. Reminds me of, what is it, Paddington? What is that British bear? Can't think of his name right now. Reminds me, this movie, there's a lot of knockoff characters. They might have a lawsuit on their hands, honey, because it's a lot of recognizable knockoff characters. So it made me think about the other characters they are. Anyway, meet him. He says this is that. The grown man is being weird. He's being Deadpool. I can't see Ryan Reynolds for anybody, any other character besides Deadpool. I guess the direction was just like, be Deadpool, but not funny. Be Deadpool for kids. Be Deadpool without the inappropriate jokes, basically. And instead of killing people, to save people, you kill to save. Instead of kill to save, you're just going to save, try to save relationships, men relationships, put imaginary friends with kids. Do that. He did it bad. He did exactly what the director said, but it was really bad. I don't know why he's in this movie. I can't see anyone but Deadpool, but a really bad Deadpool. So he has this attitude. He's just in a mood, like, ugh. And the bear is just like, well, he wasn't, he used to be like that. He was a clown, Just like, oh, okay, a little tidbit. I think I'm supposed to put that in my pocket. I think I'm supposed to. Let me put that in my pocket for later. So this happened. And the girl, I said the lady, because she does look like a grown woman. The bear's like, is this what you expect? And she was like, no, this is not what I was expecting. We was like, well, what would you expect? Like, imagine it. Just, let it happen. The man in the back, the clown, the creepy guy that she came there with was just like, no, don't do that. No, don't. So the girl starts imagining what she would want it to be, and it goes on this musical, and things starts changing, and it becomes fun and whimsical, and all this stuff happens, and it's just like, like before this happened, my mom turns at me and was just like, this is a little dry, ain't it? I just looked at her and started to chuckle a little bit, like, yeah. It would just keep on going. And then this music number happens. And I was just like, okay, well, that happened. So that happens. I low-key like this musical scene because, as you know, I'm a millennium and we did this for you guys. Since the High School Musical thing, we love musicals. So now, because the High School Musical thing, and it was geared towards us millenniums all our life, we've been spoiled like that. Every show has to have an episode. Every series, every show has to have a musical episode. So of course I love this part. So we go through this musical montage, and it's basically poking fun of the grumpy grown ass man. We're making fun of him. He's going through this. And I actually like this sequence because it was just like, the first thing you see is checkerboard. And when you see checkerboard floors, you already know some about to happen. You already know it's going to be so what is happening type of happening. So after all that happens, they get out of the amusement park, and he's just like, deuces, and leaves her to get her home. I'm just like, if you brought me here, you better take me back. Like, it's not like we're not going to the same freaking apartment. Take me back to the apartment. Don't just leave me like deuces. So next day comes, she goes to the hospital. She has this little clay dragon for the little boy and another set of flowers, so he can have flowers and her dad can have flowers. She goes to see her dad in the hospital, visits him in the room, and they're talking or whatever, and she's just like, I have a job, Dad. And he's like, oh, well, you're grown like whatever. So that happens. The little boy, she gave the little boy the dragon, and he wasn't in his room when she gave the flowers and the dragon. So after she leaves her dad's visiting from her dad, she goes back to the little boy's room, but she's walking past, and he's just like, hey there, like, hi, I've been waiting on you, where you been? And basically, and she's talking with the little boy or whatever, and she was saying about an imaginary friend. Do you have an imaginary friend? He was like, no, the TV's still busted, I ain't got nothing to do but read books, basically. And they go on this conversation, and he was just, basically, the idea was like, we're coming back to the little boy. Oh, you want an imaginary friend? This is that. Idea pops in her head. She's like, oh, I found a kid. So she goes back to her retirement home and started doing interviews for the imaginary friends, drawing them in a journal, in a notebook, and putting like little notes and how their previous kid was, and just taking notes on the character and drawing them, whatever. So this happens. She gets through everybody. She goes through everybody. I actually kind of like this part. Like, if they would have done this movie differently, it would be a good movie. Like, if they just would have did it better, it would have been like, there was a lot of good parts, elements, but when you put it together and you're watching it, it's just like, it's bit dry. Like, they could have did more. It was so playful. Like, that musical scene was how it should have been the whole entire scene. It was just like my mom said, dry and dragged. It was just boring, that it was just like a cloud over the whole mix, and it should have been brighter for kids. You know, I'm still trying to figure out who the audience was. It was like, I guess 3 to 12. I don't know. It was not 12. It was not preteen, because I can't see no preteen watching this movie. Not no preteen. I know, like, all the preteens I know is on TikTok and you know, watching TikTok and YouTube shorts, like, listen to music. I heard that preteens are listening to Gorilla. So who is watching this at 12 years old, about to be a teenager? You think preteens getting with their other preteen kid friends and going to the movie to watch this? No, I still don't know who the audience was. I don't know. Maybe the audience, I don't know. Anyway, she does interviews. She goes back to the kid at the hospital and was just like, let me know when you can see this person, this character, this imaginary friend. She goes through all the imaginary friends. He doesn't see all of them, which is crazy, because when she was talking to him in the hospital about what imaginary friend he would want, it was basically a dragon. You gave him a clay dragon. Why would you bring in a dragon as an imaginary friend? We saw a dragon in the montage. Like, why wasn't he at the hospital? He couldn't fit? Like, he's imaginary. Like, I don't understand, but the dragon wasn't there for, you know, for the tryouts. He wasn't there for the tryouts. And a lot of the characters was getting upset. Like, what? He can't see me? I brought my best stuff today. I brought my best material. So yeah, that didn't work. Everybody was disappointed. So after the tryouts failed, they go back to the carnival and they put Blue to bed. The grown man clown puts Blue to bed, and she sees the teddy bear on the boardwalk. And she sits, and now that I think about it, this might be the carnival from the family montage at the beginning of the movie. That could have been the same carnival that the family went to. Like, bam! Look after I watched it, after the fact. While I was going through it, it was just like, but now we're here, we're doing a review. So she sees the teddy bear sitting at the bench, and he was just like, all you gotta do is close your eyes and just imagine for those days. That's what you gotta do for your imaginary friends to connect. That's how you do. You just sit back, breathe, close your eyes, and just imagine you can get that connection back. Like, that helps in the connection. This happens, they're breathing, and then this carnival that was just once abandoned, nobody was there, is full of people. It looks like it's the 1960s, 70s? We don't know. 60s? 19s? What was Tina Turner? What was he? Oh, and it looks back in the day. And it's full, and the imaginary friends there, and it's like kids and adults, you know, families. It's like a regular open carnival. And then you see Disney's Betty Boop getting a balloon from this, I think it's a clown maybe. And then right there, like, in my head, I was just like, is this the clown? This grown ass man that took her, you know, on the train to the carnival? Is this guy? But I didn't say anything out loud. I was just like, I'm gonna just take that, put it in my pocket, because if you was not paying attention, you would not see this cloud. You would not make this interaction, this connection, because it's the back of him. It's not the front, it's the back of him. And if you put it in my pocket, but again, if you're not paying attention, or if you're a kid, the audience this is geared towards, you would not see this. You won't pay attention. So this happened there at the carnival. Whatever. And then she goes back home and she's talking to her grandma. She's eating pizza dinner with her grandma, and her grandma is telling her about her past, like when she was younger. She was like, what do you want to be when you was growing up? She was like, I wanted to be a dancer. I want to be a ballet dancer and all this stuff. She goes back and she was like, I was actually really good at it. She's showing her pictures and stuff, and in one of the pictures she see Disney characters Betty Boop in the corner, and she was just like, oh, your imaginary friend, this is that, dun dun dun. So she goes upstairs to the Disney characters Betty Boop, and was just like, your kid was my grandma? And she's like, yeah, like, duh, that banging that you heard, that was me. I visit her every day, trying to get her to remember me, trying to get her to see me, this is that. The little girl was like, well, let's try it now. Let's do it now. She's like, what's gonna change? So she goes through the albums, finds the album that her grandma used to dance to. And her grandma makes this comment like, I didn't become a dancer because I became tall and awkward. I thought that was kind of funny. It was just like, wait, what? Okay. Anyway, she goes to the record, find a record that her grandma loved to dance to back in the day, puts it on. Grandma's like, who is that? she puts it on and hides, and she's just like, who just did that? Who did? Instead of being like ghosts or somebody's in the house, she was just like, okay, well, let's just dance. Let's start dancing now. It does not matter. We're just going to. So she starts dancing, and then Disney carried Betty Bop. Disney version of Betty Bop started dancing with it, and then she starts lighting up, and it's like they're making this connection. That cute interaction. Betty Bop gets her wings, and the next clip. Next clue happens. She wakes up. She's in her room, and it's like it's a lot on her mind. It seems like. Oh, I don't think I mentioned the little girl's name this whole entire movie. Her nickname is B. I can't remember her full name, but her nickname is B. Her mom calls her B. That's what her name is in this movie. She's in her room. She looks anxious, and then all of a sudden the incognito guy comes, and he's all over like, I got the goods. I got what you needed. Did it. Got a file, and there's this classified file on it. What it comes to is Blue's friend. The incognito, he finds Blue's kid. So her, Blue, and the grown man, what's his name? The grown man that's supposed to be a clown, who was a clown apparently. The grown man is there, and they go to the city, and which is crazy because it's just like, again, she's going somewhere by herself with this grown butt man again, but okay, it's okay apparently. Goes, finds the friend, the kid. He's walking into a coffee shop. He's nervous or whatever, and he goes to get some coffee, and then he goes to a building, and they were just like, okay, we're going to try to connect Blue and his kid. When Blue freaked out about disappearing, that Jeremy couldn't see him, he was talking about coffee and croissants. Like coffee and croissants for a reason. I think the croissants is because Jeremy's parents owned a bakery, so croissants were easy access, so he loves croissants. Can't remember the coffee. I guess, I don't know, maybe because it's a bakery, I don't know. Anyway, Blue, the grown butt man, and B, the little girl, follow Jeremy, Blue's kid, from the coffee shop to this building. He goes to the bathroom, and Blue, B, and the grown man is just outside like, Blue, you have to go now. Blue, try it now while he's in the bathroom. Go talk to him. Before Blue goes to the bathroom, he's like, I'm nervous. You have to come with me. Talk to the grown man. Come with me. Grown man's like, no, I'm not doing this. So B was just like, the little girl was just like, okay, whatever. She puts her hood on, runs into a stall in the men's bathroom. Okay. You heard that? You heard that? Okay, we're gonna keep on going because they did. They just kept on going. So she's in the bathroom, and Blue comes in, and he's kind of, trying to get up the nerve to talk to Jeremy. Jeremy's low-key, like he's frantic. Like it's like something's going on. Like something going on with him. He's there, and Blue's getting closer and trying to make the connection, and then Blue sneezes and scares the crap out of him, blows him somehow. I don't know. He's an imaginary friend, you guys. Blows him. Jeremy braced the sink. Water's everywhere. And he just runs out, just like something was wrong. He just runs out, nervous, scared, like everything. And they were just like, Blue's just like, I blew it. Blue was like, I blew it. Blue was just like, I'm hungry. Well, can we just go? I'm hungry now. And B has this idea like, oh, you're hungry. She goes, they all go, and they get some croissants. And then they follow him into a waiting room. And she's there, and the receptionist, like, she's there looking weird because like, she has a box, and she's just there standing in front of the receptionist, but not really saying anything. The receptionist is just like, can I help you? She's like, I have a delivery. And she was just like, okay, I need to do this for so I'm just wait over here. So she goes sit in the waiting room where he is, across from where he is, and just opens up croissants and start eating them. And he's just like, croissants, and the croissants, that smell makes him and Blue connect a little bit. But right before it's a full connection, like with the grandma and Disney characters Betty Bop, it was abruptly stopped because he gets called in for the interview. And before he gets in, you could tell he's really nervous, and Blue comes up behind him and gives him the light. He touches his shoulder and gives him the light, give him that confidence, I guess, let him know that he's there somehow. And he goes into the interview and he knocks it out. Bam. They leave out the lobby, but they're outside the lobby doors, and the lobby doors are glass. Blue is so excited. He picks B up, the little girl, and hugs her. And the receptionist sees this because, sees the little girl because she can't see the imaginary friend. So the little girl is floating in the air like, she's getting hugged. She's like, hey, This isn't weird. Yeah. So that happens. The receptionist is just like, okay, this is happening. This is weird. So after that, she goes home. They go home, and she rushes in, comes into the grandma's house, and the grandma, for the first time ever, is just like, "Where have you been?" The first time ever. She's been gone all these days by herself, but this time she's like, "Where have you been?" And she's like, "I was out with some friends, grandma, chill, And she's like, "No, we gotta go. We gotta go. Get all your stuff." And at this moment, you just feel like something's wrong. We had a little scene where the dad was about to go to surgery the next day before, like, we had that scene. I didn't talk about it because it wasn't really important, but I should mention it before he was going to go to surgery. He was prepped for surgery. The nurse was like, "You have your last meal. What would you want your last meal to be?" And he said all the things he wanted. She's like, "Be realistic." And he was just like, "Okay, so water. That's fine. Water and crackers. That's fine. I think crackers." Grandma said, "Oh, this is what happened. We gotta go to the hospital." She runs out the house. And if I was a girl, I'd be like, "Look, girl, did you not just hear me? Like, I've been waiting for you to get here for us to leave." So she runs out the house, goes upstairs to the imaginary friend's room, and she's just like, "I can't do this." She's talking to the clown grown man, imaginary friend, but he's a grown man. "I can't do this isn't that." And he's just like, "Just tell him a story. You don't know what to say? Just tell him a story." So this scene is them rushing to the hospital because he had his surgery, and now I guess he's in a coma. Again, we do not know what's wrong with the dad. They never tell us. All they say is he had a bad heart. I think they're, dumbing this down because the audience is supposed to be kids, I think. Yeah, it's a kids movie. So they dumb this down. So she gets to the hospital. She tells her dad a story, and at the end of the story, she breaks down crying, and he magically wakes up and just like, "I like the story. It was a beautiful story. What happens next?" I can't remember what he says. Basically, he wakes up at the end of the story, and it was really cute. It was touching. So from that point on, the dad is like, I guess he's better. He had his surgery. I guess his heart is good now. Maybe it was a heart transfer. I don't know. We don't know. We gotta make things up to make it make sense. So by this time in the movie, because there was this scene when they were doing an interview of the imaginary friends that the grown butt man and the little girl did the same thing. They did the same action. They had the same mannerism. And at that point, throughout this whole movie, I just tied it as he knows her. Like, they're somehow related. When she went up to get advice for the dad, I was just like, okay, well, this has to be her uncle, estranged uncle or brother. Like, this person has to be related to her. And that's what I wrote it off to make it make sense, to make this movie not creepy, that this little girl is hanging out with this grown butt man. I was just like, this is her uncle. This is her uncle. Yeah, that's what it is. So after they get to the hospital, he wakes up, whatever. I guess he gets to leave the hospital because the surgery was done, everything's good, he has a good heart. So they go back home, and she's packing up stuff to leave, and she's putting stuff in the car. And that box I was telling you about, that her grandma was like, "Oh, it has your arts and crafts in it." So it's pink box that her grandma put at the top of her closet because she was like, "I'm grown now, like, I ain't a kid no more. I don't do that type of stuff anymore, grandma." It falls out of the car, and everything comes out, and she's picking it up, and she's looking through the stuff, and she sees this picture that she drew, which they flew and they flashed across the screen during the family montage of the activities where her mom was still alive. And it was just, and in the glimpse of the fashion, it was this man. It was like a man she drew with a top hat, which also made me think this was a scary movie, because it's that drawing that every kid draws in this scary movie of this man with a top hat. It was that part. So she picks up the drawing, but on this drawing is a drawing of when they went to the carnival. It was a carnival. It was her mom, and her dad. That was the picture you see. And then she unfolds the picture, and then on the side over there is the clown, which was her imaginary friend. And she's just like, at that moment, she's like, "Oh my gosh, the grown butt man that has been around taking me to places I've been with this whole time in the public is an imaginary friend. He's not real." Would have been nice to know. Yeah, I guess this is the grand reveal, but it would have been nice to know beforehand to not make this creepy, because it's been creepy this whole time. It's been creepy this whole time. A grown up man with this 12-year-old. Anyway, her imaginary friend, she realized that, and she's so upset because she's like, "Oh, this is why he was in a mood, because I can't see him. I don't remember that he's my imaginary friend." Because again, we already know they put a little hint out there that Blue and him already knew her. They was like, "Oh, I'm so glad you're, Blue was like, I'm so glad you're here again. I'm so glad you're back. And she didn't catch that for some reason. She didn't catch that, but we all catch that. We were just like, back. But anyway, we're going to keep on moving. So she's like, oh my God, he was my imaginary friend. And I just didn't even notice. So she runs back upstairs past her grandma. Her grandma was like, I was just about to see you off. I was about to come. I was coming to say bye. Ignores her grandma like she's been doing this whole entire movie. Goes upstairs, knock on the door, and just like, I'm sorry, I know who you are now. Please let me in. This and that. Banging on the door. And then the old creepy woman who came out the shadows, who they were just like, oh, there's a witch, comes to the shadow. It's not a witch anymore. She comes from the daylight, comes down the hallway, and just like, what are you doing? Who are you looking for, sweetie? And just like, my friend's in there. I just want to talk to my friend, tell him bye, this and that. And she was just like, no one's lived in that apartment for years, honey. Like, this is a storage place. Like, this is a storage room now. So she unlocks the door and opens it, and as it is, it's a storage place. Like her imaginary friends, how they was set up, is not like that anymore. The imaginary friends are not there. So she just walks in. You could tell she's heartbroken, she's sad, and the old lady gives her some time. She's just like crying. She's just like, I'm so sorry, this is that. I know who you are now, this is that. And she thinks about what the bear said when she was on the pier on the beach. What the bear was like, hey, just breathe, close your eyes, and think about it, and they'll come up. And there so happened when she opened her eyes, the grown man was not a grown man anymore. He's the clown that we saw at the pier when they were having that flashback, when it was all lively pier. The clown that handed Disney's Betty Bop a balloon is in that outfit. He's in that clown outfit right in front of her. And she's just like, I'm so sorry. I didn't recognize you, but I will not forget you. I'm going to always need you. So I need you to always be around. Basically, that happened. So they're reunited. It's beautiful. They're both light up. The light connections happen. And then she goes downstairs. Her and her dad is going out, sees her off. And then the grandma's there just in the street, just watching them go away. And then she's just talking. Like she's been talking this whole time to herself, as if there's an imaginary friend there. But the whole time it hasn't been one. But this time, her imaginary friend's there talking. And they're just like, just saying their plans of what they're going to do next. And at the end of the movie, I actually really like, it's just every imaginary friend reuniting with their old kid. Their kid is a grown man again. And what I did not forget to mention when it came to Blue and Jeremy. Blue said after the kid forgets me and can't see me anymore, grows up, if after a certain amount of time, he's going to disappear. Remember, Jeremy was a kid when he created Blue. Jeremy is a grown butt man now. So you tell me, after all these years, Blue didn't disappear? Where was he supposed to disappear? Like with the grandma. The grandma ain't seen her imaginary friend. How old is she now? That was back when she was a kid dancing, before she hit puberty. That's what she was saying. After puberty hit, she got tall and awkward. So you're telling me the whole time, these years, they didn't have any other kids. That was their only kid. They didn't disappear? So the disappearing thing was just not a thing. It doesn't happen, because how many years does it take? Like, do they disappear after like the kid is long gone and forgotten? Is that when they disappear? When the kid is unalive? That part didn't make sense. But like a lot of things in this movie just did not make sense at all. Anyway, they go on this montage of uniting all the imaginary friends with the kids who are now adults. And my mom was just like, I love her mom. She be trying to figure it out. She's like, I'm gonna figure it out, honey. And my mom was like, I want the receptionist to get an imaginary friend. The receptionist did. Every adult that you saw got an imaginary friend. It was cute. It was cute seeing this happening. And yeah, that was the end of the movie. The ending was really sweet. I liked the ending, but leading up to it, it was dry. It was dry. It was depressing. I was sad, but the ending was good. I have two parts that I like about this movie, with the musical montage and then the ending. The ending was great. Also because it was done. We're done. I was just like, thank goodness we're done. Oh my goodness. But the ending was very cute, seeing everyone reunite with their imaginary friends, but a lot of stuff didn't make sense. And I still don't know who the audience is for this movie. I still don't know. There was a lot of troubling things. I was so uncomfortable throughout the whole movie until I found out about the clown being an imaginary friend, the grown man being the clown imaginary friend. That's when I became okay. And can we just talk about that? Her imaginary friend that she imagined was a grown ass man clown. And it's not a classical clown like you would see, a practical clown like you would see at a carnival, like with the paint, the nose, the wig. No, no, no. It was just a grown ass man in a suit with a top hat with white gloves on. That's not creepy at all. We're not supposed to think about that at all, you guys. Let's not think about it, apparently. But let's think about it. See, don't take your kids to this movie because you're going to have to do a lot of explaining. You got a lot of explaining. It's going to make them feel sad for a second. It might just. But the ending is really good. So I don't know. I would not take my kids to this movie at all. There were so many things wrong. But I just wanted to let y'all know. I just want to give y'all spoilers. I just told y'all about the whole movie so you don't have to watch it. Go take that money you was going to go to watch this movie because I think it's $5.99. Is that $5.99 on Prime? Take that $5.99 and take them to a arcade. Take them to an amusement park. I think Busch Gardens is doing a buy one get one, or they having a sale. Maybe that was Busch Gardens. I don't know. It was some water park that was having a buy one get one sale for July. So take them to get a Happy Meal or something. Do something else with that money. Do something else. Don't waste your time. It was a bad movie. Saw that from the preview. It wasn't even a full preview. It's a bad movie. After I watched it, my mom was just like, huh. I was like, why did you like it? She was like, huh. She didn't like it, needless to say. The ending was good, though. The ending, it was enjoyable. It was great. Oh, I forgot about the other part. So, okay, little boy from the hospital. He's at the park, and he's just chilling, watching all the kids play, because, of course, he can't play because he all broke up. My mom was really trying to read into that, where she was like, why this little kid all broke up? Like, she thought it was going to, tell us about trauma, like his parents or something, because his parents weren't there at the hospital. Like, she had a lot of good analysis about this movie. She was just like, why this kid in the hospital broke up by itself, and this is just the norm for him to be broken up. It's the norm. Yeah, she had a lot of thoughts about that, and I was just like, I didn't think nothing of it, because I was just like, we're not supposed to think in this movie. We're supposed to think but not think. We're supposed to put stuff together but not think it all the way through. This is that movie. So the little kid at the park, he's sitting on the bench because his leg is broken. Things are broke up on him. And then all of a sudden, a dragon, ding, 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 flies up to him. And I think he had something broken. He had glasses. He was just like, and he was just the little boy was like, hey, yeah, hi there. And they just became friends. Love that part, because it should have been a dragon the whole time. And this is a dragon that we never seen. Like, even in the montage at the retirement home, this is like a brand new dragon. So I'm thinking that he made up this imaginary friend himself. I guess from talking to B, the little girl, I guess he was just like, well, let me make an imaginary friend, since the imaginary friends that were already there just wasn't it, because they didn't show him the dragon. But it's a cute imaginary friend. It reminds me exactly of the little boy. He got the glasses, all that stuff. So love that part. Love the ending of the movie. If anything, just watch the ending. Just watch the ending. That's it. That was it. But yeah, that was my review. Or you can just watch it. Waste some time. You got time to waste. Watch it. I warned you, though. I warned you. But yeah, subscribe.